Pakistan officially launched Operation Ghazab-lil-Haq, the righteous fury, on Thursday night in response to what it termed unprovoked fighting by the Afghan Taliban across multiple border sectors. Why this happened, how it reached to this point of escalation, and what are the repercussions, how it is going to play, how the world is responding to it, reacting to it. This is what we are going to unravel in today's episode of Unraveled with Marvi Sirmed. This is February 27, and I am conducting this program from Washington, D.C. And this is episode number 114 of Unraveled. So, the Pakistan-Afghanistan conflict and today's situation. So heavy fighting was reported across several sectors in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, including Chitral, Khyber, Muhammad, Khurram, and Bajaur. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Asif on Friday, in early hours, said that his country had run out of patience and now considers itself in an open war with Afghanistan after both sides launched strikes following what Islamabad describes as an Afghan cross-border attack. Now, Pakistan carried out strikes in Kabul and other two Afghan provinces on Friday, in early hours, wee hours of Friday. Afghanistan's government's spokesperson has said and has tweeted, posted on X as well, hours after Afghanistan launched a cross-border attack on Pakistan in the, latest escalation of violence between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Now, this escalation has made Qatar-mediated ceasefire increasingly shaky. Pakistan's defense minister is saying our patience has run out now. Now it is an open war between us, and there has, this is, mind you, the same minister who, when in 2021, Afghan Taliban took over Kabul, he had actually posted on X quite jubilantly, and he had termed as, something to the effect that powers are yours, but God is ours, as if, this was a victory of Islam over the un-Islamic powers. So now how the tables have turned. But after Khawaja Asif has said that, and he has tweeted, he has posted on X as well, I did not see so far any reaction from Afghan government officials to Khawaja Asif's comments. Now, Khawaja Asif's remarks came few hours after Pakistan carried out strikes, as I said, in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, as well as in a couple other locations like Kandahar Kandahar in south and Paktika province in the southeast. According to Pakistan officials have also said, and Afghan government spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid has also posted on X. Pakistan's officials also say that the Pakistan's strikes were in retaliation for Afghan cross-border attacks earlier. Both governments have issued sharply differing casualty claims, and they have, claimed that they have inflicted heavy losses on the other side. Now, these claims, we have no way of independently verifying these claims. We can, the best we can do is report what either side says. So, Afghan's defense ministry said overnight 55 Pakistani soldiers had been killed. And they also are including some whose bodies were taken into Afghanistan. And they are also claiming Afghan officials, Afghan spokesperson has claimed that several others from Pakistan's side have been captured alive as well. Um, Afghan soldiers who have been killed, its number has been claimed to be at 8 and 11 wounded. This is Afghan claim. And Afghanistan's ministry also claimed that it has destroyed 19 Pakistani army posts and two bases, and that the fighting ended around midnight, about 4 hours after it began on Thursday. Now, Pakistan's information minister, on the other hand, Mr. Ataullah Tarar, he has said that two Pakistani soldiers were killed and three are wounded. Musharraf Ali Zaidi, who is the spokesperson for Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, has denied that any Pakistani soldiers had been captured alive. In a post, he also posted on X and said that at least 133 Afghan fighters were killed and more than 200 wounded. And he has also claimed that 27 Afghan posts were destroyed and 9 fighters were captured from Afghanistan, from Afghanistan's side. Now, I read this in Associated Press, the story, the news story that was published by Associated Press. And the reporters who have filed the story, they say that Mr. Musharraf has not specified whether these casualties, where these casualties have occurred, but he's claiming that additional losses were estimated in addition to all these numbers. There are additional losses that have been estimated by Pakistani side on military targets in Kabul, Paktika, and Kandahar. Now, Associated Press also reports that in Islamabad, now this is important, two senior security officials have said to the correspondents of Associated Press that Afghan forces at some border posts had raised white flags, which is a gesture typically interpreted as, as a request to halt firing, halt the violence. Now, these officials have said to the AP correspondents that Pakistani forces were still continuing what they describe as a retaliatory response to unprovoked aggression by the Afghan Taliban. And had destroyed several Taliban posts along the border, despite the fact that they were hoisting white flags, which is contrary to what the righteous anger or righteous fury, means in Islamic tradition. But authorities in Pakistan have said that dozens of Afghan refugees who were waiting to return home from the northwestern Torkham border have been taken back to safer places following the eruption of clashes. Now, there is difference in the reporting. Associated Press reports that Pakistani officials say that they have taken these Afghan Muhajirin and Afghan refugees to the safer place on Pakistani side. But Al Jazeera has reported that these refugees were caught in the crossfire and were taken to the safe places on Afghanistan side. So there is such a fog of war that it's different kinds of reports are about the same incidents are being carried and published by different news sources. So as I said, we have absolutely no way of independently verifying any of these claims. But this is what different news sources have been reporting. Now, what happened? I mean, let's start from October 2023 when Pakistan launched sweeping crackdown. I'm Now I'm talking about the issue of the refugees, specifically the issue of the refugees. So after 2021's Taliban's takeover of Kabul in 2021, the situation had already started getting tense when Pakistani side realized that Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is the Pakistan, in common parley, it's Pakistan. They're called Pakistani Taliban or TTP. They are launching attacks on Pakistan. They have been launching attacks for a long time in Pakistan. And after 2021, when Afghan Taliban took over Afghanistan, TTP's attacks against Pakistan's civilian targets, especially, they escalated by leaps and bounds. They started escalating, and then by 2023, 2024, they had completely gone out of the, bounds. So in October 2023, and Pakistani side, by the way, had started blaming Afghan refugees because in the refugees camps, they said that these Afghan terrorists, they come and take refuge or in the guise of refugees. So they were sort of, there was a rhetoric, a media narrative being propagated against the Afghan refugees in Pakistan. So in October 2023, Pakistan launched a sweeping crackdown to expel these migrants, especially those who did not have documents. Now, it's a whole other story why many of these refugees, poor people, why they did not have documents. And most of it did not have anything to do with their inability. It was basically the inability of and poor management of refugees on the part of the Pakistani government. But anyway, uh, so Pakistan launched this crackdown on Afghan refugees in 2023, and several deadlines were given. Couple of deadlines were given, urging those who were in the country to leave of their own accord to avoid arrest and forcible deportation, and forcible expulsions. Side by side, Iran also began a crackdown on Afghan migrants, around the same time. Since then, millions of Afghans have streamed across the border into Afghanistan, including people who were born in Pakistan decades ago and had built their whole lives and created businesses there. Uh, so last year alone, around 2.9 million people returned to Afghanistan. This is as per the report of the United Nations Refugee Agency, which said that nearly 80,000 of them having returned so far this year. Uh, you know, till 20 till January 2026. Now, going back to what I was saying about the um, uh, righteous fury, the name of the operation that Pakistan has given to these strikes, Gazb-e-Haq. Just to explain those who are not familiar with Arabic or this Islamic concept. Now, this Arabic phrase, which is, as I said earlier, often it is translated as the righteous fury, righteous anger, anger for the truth, or anger for justice. Now, this originates from, as I said, Islamic ethics and Islamic traditions. It emphasizes a proactive, justified emotional reaction against injustice or the violation of sacred principles. And it's So the basic principle is that it should not be sparked by personal ego or selfish reason, but rather in defense of what is right, haq, uh, what is right, what is truth, Uh, it is closely related to the concept of indignation against the evil or violation of rights. And it is considered a form of rightful anger, the righteous anger, rather than sinful or erratic anger. Um, so, and it follows the principles of, dignity of human being, dignity of life, and all those Islamic, principles that are associated with how the wars are fought. So that is why I was saying that the Islamic concept of Ghazb-lil-Haq, um, let's see how it is being followed in spirit. So, going back to the conflict, I'm not going to make it a longer one. For a longer one, we will discuss this conflict and how did we get here with a couple of very senior, Pakistani experts who have been on very important positions in Pakistan's establishment and Pakistan's officialdom. And we are going to discuss in next episode. But for now, I would very, very briefly, I would simply say, I mean, just I can actually, I prepared a very detailed timeline, what happened when. But I think it's counterproductive to read it out. I will just say that this conflict, and I have said this in my previous episodes, is rooted in long-standing disputes over the Durand Line, which is the 2600, almost 2600 kilometer colonial era border that Afghanistan has never formally recognized. And Pakistan's repeated accusations that the Taliban-led Afghan government allows Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan TTP and other militants, including Islamic State in Khorasan province, ISKP, and Baloch groups to use Afghan soil as safe havens for attacks inside Pakistan. Now, Afghan Taliban deny harboring or supporting these groups, and they call, uh, that these Pakistani issues are purely internal to Pakistan, and they also accuse Pakistan of sovereignty violations through cross-border strikes and fencing. Um, TTP attacks, as I said, surged quite sharply after the Taliban's 2021 takeover of Afghanistan. So, so let's draw a line at 2024 because it was 2024 when it just completely became out of control. So pre-2024, there were sporadic border incidents and Pakistani strikes on alleged TTP camps. Uh, but that happened in 2024. Before that, there was this usual the normalization of terrorist attacks in Pakistan. And the contrary to what the Western media and Western think tanks have been saying, I am speaking from Washington, D.C., and I'm telling you that in different think tanks in Washington, D.C., I have heard repeatedly that there were a couple of attacks. There were a couple of attacks in Pakistan. No, there were not a couple of attacks. There were quite a few attacks, and we can prepare a timeline of those attacks by TTP. There were smaller attacks. There have been big, suicide explosions in mosques, in madrasas, near madrasas, in bazaars, in markets, everywhere. Uh, in addition to these attacks, there have been targeted killings, there have been targeted attacks there have been kidnappings of officials, there have been so many attacks. There was, people in Pakistan are fearing that we are going back to probably the 2010, 2011, 2012 kind of an era where, those years were the bloodiest years in terms of the terrorism in Pakistan. And Pakistan is going back to, has been there, almost there, since 2024, especially. So no, these were not couple of attacks. There are quite a few attacks, an attack almost every week. So, and I'm not saying that all of these, that Pakistani military establishment is completely right in blaming Afghan Taliban. There is a whole, it's very, very complex. But, and I do not want to oversimplify it. I do not want to dumb it down because this is too serious to be treated as as an issue that could be oversimplified that way. And that is why I am going to do a series of episodes on this issue, because this what we where we are right now is not just Afghan Taliban's fault. There's a hugely Pakistan's own fault, our own wrong decisions, our own. I don't know why we took those decisions. And Pakistani civil society has been standing up to those decisions for a long time. And we have been called traitors of our own country because we were saying those things. And now I take no pleasure, I take no pride in saying that whatever we have been saying for last 2 to 3 decades is now being lived by Pakistani people and Pakistani military establishment. So, uh, anyway, so we fast forward, come to 2024. In March 2024, for example, there was a TTP linked attack on Pakistani posts. So it's from September to December 2024. There were multiple exchanges of fire, and there were Pakistani strikes in Paktika, Kundar, etc. On Afghan side. And there were disputed civilian militant casualties, and UN also documented civilian casualties in those strikes. Now, but these strikes did set a pattern of tit for tat actions without major escalation or sustained diplomacy. In 2025, major escalation happened for example, start in October 2025 when TTP ambushed Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and killed soldiers. Pakistan then launched Operation Heilstorm, and they held airstrikes deep into Afghanistan, like Kabul, Host, Nangarhar, Paktika, and targeted TTP leaders and camps. So now these airstrikes, it is important to note that these October airstrikes, October 2025 airstrikes, were Afghan side claimed it was, these happened and Pakistan was responsible for it, but Pakistan denied. Pakistan has been denying it ever since. And they did not own it. They said, we just did not do that. Might be ISKP or someone else, but we didn't do it. But Afghan side was adamant that it was Pakistani airstrikes. And so this happened in the first week of October. In the second week of October 2025, heavy Afghan retaliation happened in the ground attacks on Pakistani posts, artillery. The fiercest fight was in Spinboldak and Chaman area, Balochistan, and dozens were killed on both sides, including civilians. And then border crossings were closed. United Nations reported around almost approximately 37 Afghan civilians were killed and hundreds were injured in this broader October violence, the Pakistani airstrikes, alleged Pakistani airstrikes, and the retaliation by Afghan Taliban. Now, then there were limited direct talks between Pakistan and Afghanistan leadership. There were mutual demands. Pakistan demanded to curb TTP. Afghanistan demanded to stop strikes and respect their sovereignty. Then there was international mediation as well, Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and there was this. tripartite, not tripartite, actually, if the five parties were there in October, the probably 19th or 20th October of 2025 in Doha, when Qatar and Turkey mediated a ceasefire between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and both sides agreed to immediately halt the hostilities and refrain from targeting each other's forces and each other's civilians and infrastructure. And per Pakistani officials, Afghanistan, you know, we, from Pakistani perspective, Afghanistan will not allow its soil for anti-Pakistan attacks. And then follow talks were also scheduled in Istanbul in October, the end of October, towards the end of October. Turkey and Qatar mediated talks, and they extended the ceasefire. There were joint statement issued, which affirmed the continuation of the ceasefire. Initially, Saudi Arabia also involved in the, facilitation. In late October to December 2025, ceasefire repeatedly it was violated or strained. There were brief clashes in November, December. Then there were further rounds of talks mediated by Istanbul and Saudi Arabia, which failed over core issues. No written guarantees from Taliban. Pakistan was adamant to have them, but there were, Taliban did not provide any written guarantees. Pakistan demanded action on TTP, against TTP, and even a religious fatwa as well, that these kind of suicide attacks were haram or something. Um, but Afghanistan did not budge in. Pakistan threatened stronger action. Border remained tense. It remained closed in places, which has lot of very serious, grave economic implications on people, common people, and well, so this late, November, December clashes and retaliations by Afghan side. United Nations documents the casualty on Afghan side, civilian casualties at 70. Now, so this ceasefire, as we have seen, the 2025 ceasefire, which was mediated by Istanbul and Saudi Arabia, this was fragile from the beginning. It paused major fighting, but failed to resolve the TTP safe havens. Pakistan Afghanistan dispute over these safe havens, and obviously Durand Line grievances. But this mediation succeeded in short-term de-escalation, collapsed long-term due to lack of enforcement mechanism and a huge trust deficit. Now, lead up to 2026 escalation, so we enter into 2026, January to mid-February. Yeah. The Pakistani side continued warnings. TTP's attacks continued. So Pakistan continued facing these almost every week attack. Sometimes it was in Balochistan. They were in Balochistan. It was at one time. It felt as if these are coordinated attacks. Balochistan groups, and then TTP's attacks in the rest of Pakistan. So it was like, for Pakistani civilian population, it has been like hell. And I'm sure it would be the same for the Afghan people in Afghanistan. There was an ultimatum from military RCDF in December 2025. The warnings to Afghanistan, Defense Minister Khawaja Asif in February, I think 10th or 11th February. He warned of, pre-Ramzan action if Taliban did not act on against TTP. There was surge in TTP claimed attacks inside Pakistan, including, there was an attack in Bajor. Security personnel were killed. Afghan, and it involved an Afghan national, as per Pakistani security sources. So, and in side by side, the international efforts also continued. United Nations repeatedly called for, dialogue. Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, they remained the main mediators. For example, Saudi Arabia helped Pakistan, release Pakistani detainees in mid-February as goodwill. But and no broader involvement was seen. China played a low-key role due to probably BRI and CPEC interests. There was the former US envoy Zalmay Khalilzad. He publicly urged a diplomatic pact on non-interference. So February 21, 22 this year, Pakistan conducts airstrikes on the alleged TTP ISKP camps in eastern Afghanistan, Nangarhar, Paktika, host provinces. Pakistan claims 70 to 130 plus militant killed. Afghanistan reports civilian deaths at least 13 to 18, including women, children, or um, uh, uh, and these reports, by the way, 13 to 18 women and children being killed on Afghanistan side. Local reports and UN reports as well verify this. And Afghanistan side is calling it obviously sovereignty violation. On February 24th and 25th, the border exchanges of fire were renewed. There were several instances. And February 26th evening, local time, Afghan Taliban announced, and launch large-scale offensive operations, retaliatory ground attacks on Pakistan military posts along the Durand Line, including Torkham area. The clashes last for hours. Afghanistan claims capture of posts and Pakistani casualties, and Pakistan calls it unprovoked, aggression, and it also reports heavy Afghan losses in response. Both claims are, degrees are on the opposite, at 180 degrees. And there are very limited ways to independently verify any of their claims, waiting for the UN or other peacekeepers or watchers and monitors who could come up with any verified report. On February 27, like I am in the Washington, D.C. So these are early hours, like this is 2 a.m. right now, February 27. But I'm talking of the Pakistan time, early morning Pakistan time, February 27. Pakistan responds with airstrikes on Kabul. Multiple explosions were reported. It was, the strikes it struck Kabul, Kandahar, and Paktika. And Pakistani Defense Minister publicly declares open war, stating, as I said, the patience has run out, etc., etc. It was a rapid tit for tat cycle, uh, triggered by, those earlier strikes into, the previous week. Uh, Now, this direct military situation is occurring when, during the first uh, 10 days of Ramadan. People are fasting, people are caught between the fire, the people who were to cross the border for the refugees, Afghan refugees who were being pushed into Afghanistan, who were to cross the border, they have nowhere to go. Now, it is said that they have been taken to the safe places. We have no way of checking where they are, how they are, in what conditions they are living, and what kind of casualties they have suffered. Uh, the mediators are, I don't know, there has not been any update on uh, any extension of the 2025 Qatar-Turkey mediated ceasefire, mediating or dialogue. Uh, the core issue of TTP havens is unresolved. So is the issue of the sovereignty. And the violence is at the peak right now. We can only hope that uh, the world wakes up to this, uh, and both the sides start talking to each other, and uh, because you see, I am just worried about the human cost of all of all of this. Um, the risk of protracted conflict along these very volatile frontiers. There's uh, there are economic implications. There's displacement impacts on in the border regions on both sides, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And then there are regional concerns over stability. Where is China, which is Central Asia? It seems that if everyone's interest should be stability in this region, and uh, and this is going on unchecked. I think I have seen Iran's foreign minister's statement urging both the countries to de-escalate the situation. And I have also seen the United Nations, the leadership who has in very strong terms, they have urged both the sides to de-escalate again. In summary, bilateral and international efforts produce temporary ceasefires, but they have in past failed to address fundamental, distrust and the core issue of TTP's safe havens, um, and and low level tensions to reignite into direct open war. The situation remains highly fluid, highly dangerous, and we hope when this goes on air and you're watching this, I really, really hope that things just die down. This violence dies down, and there is a calm on both sides. Because if you can't talk to each other, you are going to kill each other. And the people are the ultimate sufferers, the common people who just want to live in peace. So yeah, I just have this much, and we will keep you updated as this develops into, and we hope that it develops into peace, not more violence. And we are going to bring to you the people who have been part of this on both sides of the. We will try our best to bring people from both sides, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And please stay tuned and have a good one. I really hope you are safe, your loved ones are safe wherever you are, and people in Pakistan and Afghanistan are also safe. They deserve safety, they deserve dignity, and they deserve peace. Thank you. Have a good one.